think it would be weird to not be affected by someone that manipulated you in a way, because it distorts your reality.
Completely.
And so like you sitting here, like, I guess I could ask, like, how have you learned, and I'm sure you're still doing it, like, to trust yourself again?
But surely, like, the least we can do when someone has harmed us, when we come out of like a devastating situation, is take off that top layer of shame where we go, well, I should have known, I should have seen, I should have been different, I should have been the tough girl, I should have been the sweet girl, I should have done, and it's like, none of that will save you. None of that will save you. And again, like, I almost hate saying that because it's so bleak, but I think I did and still sometimes do so much self-shaming around, like, how did I find myself in that situation?
Yeah.
Even when this was our schedule was getting worked out to come and record this, it was like the next day I went on social media and I saw a video of you talking about an experience you had where you were like, why did I not just leave? And I was like, girl, you were in a fawn response.
Yeah.
And like, that's the whole, like, woman of the hour, it's like all fawn response. It's all just like, what do I have to do to survive? Like, you were doing what you had to do to survive.
Right. It's like, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And I now want to talk about the movie because you're right. There are so many themes in it that are so brilliantly portraying what we as women go through every day. And then it also, women will be like, yup, I've been there. And still to this day, like, I don't know if men completely understand what we have to go through and why we fawn instead of scream, kick, and punch in the face. Let's talk about the movie. Woman of the Hour. First of all, you were set to, be the lead.
Right.
And then you also directed it. How did this come to be?
Yeah, so it's based on the true story of a serial killer in the 1970s who went on the show The Dating Game. And it moves around through time, so it's kind of following this, like, more than a decade-long period where he was really operating without consequence because nobody was really looking for him, which is another interesting, and by interesting I mean enraging, aspect of the story. But I play the Bachelorette who's on The Dating Game, and that some of that footage exists online, but the full episode, like all the footage, appears to have been kind of like lost to time. So the screenwriter kind of used that vacuum as this opportunity to it's almost like a fantasy section of the movie, except the fantasy is, what if a woman stood up for herself? Can you imagine? But it's like, it's interesting because speaking of like asserting yourself, it's a really fun section of the movie. It's a really tense movie, but like that section is kind of fun. But as the viewer, it's complicated because you know that, okay, she's been shrinking herself and in a fawn response, and she's like standing up for herself, which is so fun to watch. That's right.
And you're like, first of all, if I tried to scream and run, I'm dead, bitch. So fuck you, okay? Like, clearly we're not that dumb. I think that was like something very interesting in the movie. Obviously, I talked to you earlier before we got out here about like that parking lot scene just like struck me because I think every woman, anytime you are in a dark area and you are walking anywhere, your senses go up where you're like,
totally.
What the fuck is going to happen to me? What the fuck is going to happen to me? Am I going to die? Am I going to get murdered? How do you think this movie, like,